What's up, G-Speeders? I know you're probably saying, I didn't know G-Speed was into 6x6s. Well, tell you the truth, up until about a couple months ago, we didn't either. But we listened to the customer and realized that a lot of you guys out there are having fun with 6x6 rigs made by Axial or TRX6. And we thought, you know what? Why not make a low center gravity chassis for them and make your rig do even better than it already is. So anyway, what's available now is the new G6x6 chassis. This is it right here, or part of it. It's a chassis designed for custom 6x6 build. So it's not a direct bolt-on to a Traxxas rig or an Axial rig, even though it's very close to a direct bolt-on to this UMG10. I'll get to that in a little bit here, but it's for you guys to get some custom performance out of a chassis, out of whatever you're building, just like the TGH V3 and how adaptable it is into all kinds of different rigs that you see out there now. So anyway, I took this guy out a couple days ago to our local stomping grounds, Rock City, and it did absolutely amazing. So let me take the body off and we'll kind of look inside. This rig here is built with all of the UMG10. Well, not all the parts, but most of the parts. So it's running the stock transmission, stock drive shafts, stock axles, all the stock links, except for the front drag link that is a 78mm eye-to-eye measurement drag link when you're running it with the G-LD laydown servo mount. I don't have a measurement for the Team Garage Hacks dual servo mount yet, but we will, and Team Garage Hacks or Hardcore RC will have that link available and that measurement available, and also a whole suspension link kit for different custom builds for this chassis. So we'll have one for this setup right here. We had a team driver, Neil, that has built up the TRX6 axles on this same chassis. Neil is the one that helped design this chassis with me. Did an amazing job. He's one of our newest team drivers and a really bright young guy, an engineer that is going to help out tremendously with what we're doing in the direction we're going. So back to what I used from the UMG10, all the shocks. And I was going to run all the electronics. I just happened to put a Three Brothers G13 in there only because I didn't have a servo horn that was 23 tooth that was longer than the stock one that it came with. Otherwise I would have tried the stock servo, but I did not do that. But I did run the stock ESC, stock receiver and radio, stock motor, which is a 35 turn brushed motor, which, you know, worked okay. It's not what we're used to, but it handled the lines, and it helped do what I needed to do. So stock tires I used, obviously. So there it is. So the build, this build went pretty darn smooth. What you're gonna be needing or adding, for one, like I say with all the custom G-Speed builds, is have your Team K&K hardware, assorted hardware kits available for you to build from. The spacer variety pack that I always put the link up to get that, get the monster bag, and you're set for a few different builds. So anyway, the rear links, where they attach to the chassis, right here. So you use a 8mm Team K&K spacer right here, 3mm in diameter by 8mm, and that is at the lowest links. Lower links go in the, I'll show you on the one chassis rail I have here. So the lower links are going to go on this hole closest to the transmission, lowest, with an 8mm spacer. And then the upper rear links for the rear axle are going to go on the top mounting hole right here, furthest away from the transmission. That's where I have it, and with this build. But there's plenty of other options here for your custom build, but that's where I have it. So I have the lowest, closest to the transmission for the lower links, and the upper links furthest away from the transmission at the top. And remember, 8mm spacer between the rod end and the link mounting part of the chassis right there. Then the other little modification I did back here in the back to hinge the body. So I used and left on part of the support that bolts to the body, stock support, that is used for the hinge mechanism on the stock setup. I used that. Then in between the plastic, I screwed in a 70mm chassis spacer that I think they're still available at Hardcore RC. So it's the 70mm spacers we've been using between the chassis for a long time until we switched over to 67mm. So I bolted that in the body, and then right here at the end I have a round 67mm spacer. Those are available at Hardcore RC. Only used round, so it's easy for the tie wrap two tie wraps I used to slide around that round surface rather than the square spacers that I use throughout the rest of the chassis. And just a couple tie wraps, and there you go. And obviously you see there's a lot of the body needs to be cut out. Actually, not too much needs to be cut out, but it looks like a whole lot has to be cut out. But it's just so open like this because the way the body is made inside the bed, it's the Lexane's molded and it's like raised, so it's like a real wheel well there inside the bed. Well, in order to cut out the space that you need for the shock hoops and shocks that we're using on this chassis, you kind of end up with kind of a big hole. So I'll probably cover some of those voids with some styrene and or something, just so there's no light shining through. But you basically, you got to cut the bed and allow the shock hoops to come through. And then on the front, right here, these are the stock body mounts. You can actually bolt them right on the side of the rails here using a 67mm square spacers front and throughout the rails to hold the chassis. And these body mounts here line up to the stock body posts that are on this body. So I was pretty happy about that. That was a lucky build, or lucky part of the build. So right there, and the body pins go in just like the 10-3. Okay, and then so these chassis rails accept the TGH V3 sliders that we've been running on the TGH V3 chassis. They bolt right up, so that's what you're going to need right there for your electronics. And also I keep my battery on the other side with some Velcro. I just buy the 3M Velcro, the tough stuff from Home Depot, and that's where my battery goes. I ran a 1550 Gen-Face or Tattoo battery for, it was a good 3 hours I was running on Saturday. Then, so the front of the rig, I'm running the GSPEED G-LD lay down servo mount. Like I said before, I got the Three Brothers G13 servo on there. There's like super power, way more power than it needs for this rig, but I like it. And then I'm running the Vanquish Products 24mm servo horn with the 78mm eye-to-eye drag link and the stock steering link and stock pan hard screwed to the GSPEED GMP pan hard mount, and it's in the innermost hole closest to the servo. There's 3 different options at the bottom of this pan hard mount. It's a MP standing for multi-platform, so it can be used for a lot of different rigs. So that's the front of the rig. Then there was one more mod I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah. So the rear drive shaft, the way this body sat and the way where I wanted the tires to fall in the wheel wells, and using these link mounts here with the stock lower and upper links for the rear axle, I had to shorten the stock drive shaft. So basically this part of the drive shaft right here, which basically is this piece, I cut down. So if this was taken off of the yoke and you were to measure from right here and made a mark to cut, 15mm. And then I cut the inside of the drive shaft accordingly so it would fit and compress down and meet in the middle. And then, so that allowed me to put land the axles right where I wanted them. And then after that, I noticed with these shocks, which I believe are probably about 95mm, maybe a little bit longer, with the suspension travel, when the back axle or middle axle, one or the other, went into full compression, then the middle drive shaft would want to come close to popping out. And I've actually heard on the stock setup guys talking about that having a problem with that drive shaft, even not cutting it in the stock build position. So what I did, and I had no problem with the drive shaft popping out all day long, is during the build and when I put stuff together, when I installed the GSPEED square spacers, I put one over the upper link mounts on this axle, and I put one over here. So basically it's keeping it from going to full compression, even though there's a serious amount of shock travel there. But it is able, if you don't have that square spacer there, it is able to go up even higher, and in turn allowing that drive shaft in the middle to pop out. But if you do it just like this, you won't have any problems. So back to what I did is cut this part right here down to 15mm, and then cut the internal part of the shaft down. I believe you got to go probably about 17, 18, actually I'm sorry, from the middle of the centerpiece, leaving about 14mm to go inside this part here. But whatever the case, just make sure that once you put this piece that's 15mm back on, that the drive shaft is able to compress in on itself all the way so it meets the center of the centerpiece of the drive shaft. So there's that. Other than that, there's not too many other mods for this particular UMG10 build. I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit with the TRX4, but I'll let Neil kind of cover that part, or I'll do another build video on his rig with the TRX4 axles. But the rig that he built, that some of you saw in videos already, it leans way more on the side of custom build because it's running the Team Garage Hacks Ford motor mount, the Team Garage Hacks Creeper T transfer case for 30% overdrive, and the front motor mount has been mirrored in front. So that's a complete 6x6 custom build, which that's the direction that we are going to go. So this rig here, I just wanted to build and show everybody that they can take that UMG10 off the shelf, blow the dust off, and you can have a totally fun, new, well-performing rig. just by using these chassis rails and a few of the other parts that I offer for it. Some of those parts I'll tell you right now, but I have a full list in the description. But I'm using the G-SPEED lay-down servo mount, the G-LD. These rails and the stock transmission bolt right up to the TGRC Products white Delrin skid plate that we've been using for years. This guy here, and then the G-SPEED chassis GMP panhard mount, TGH V3 sliders, the G-SPEED square spacers. I believe I have 1, 2, 3. Well, you have 4 spacers, but that if you do the body hinge back here and you use a round spacer and you have up front you have a dual servo mount, then you really only need 4. So you should be fine with getting just 1 pack of 4 from the website. And then what else we got here? I think that's it. But like I said, in the description you'll see all the parts that you're going to need. I have a pre-order open now, so it's only $89 and something cents right now to get on pre-order, and for a batch that should be ready to ship around the 25th of this month. So I'll have plenty, and I'll have the pre-order going for a couple weeks, allow you guys to get in there. Appreciate all your guys' support and wanting to jump on this quick, so I'll give you a little bit of a deal on this first batch. So hope you guys like it and have fun with it. If you don't mind, like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll have a whole lot more stuff for you guys. Hold on, babe.
Maybe this will work better. Alright, get the stock 6x6 and do it.